Hey everybody, how is everybody tonight? So tonight we're going to be talking about children and what happens to children after S.H.T.F happens. Hold on 1 second, I just got something. Okay. Um, so we are going to be talking about what happens to children after S.H.T.F. So there's a lot of different things to discuss about that, so we're going to get into that in a minute. But I think it'll be an interesting topic tonight. But before we get started, like I said, I'd like to, in the beginning of all my chats, a couple things. Please, everyone, be kind to each other, be respectful. If you are not, my moderators will boot you out of here. So they have not a fun job because they're always watching for nonsense. So, but please just be kind to each other, be respectful, no racism, none of that stuff's not going to be tolerated here. We are a big family, and we support each other. So people that don't want to do that don't belong in this chat anyway. So let's just be respectful of each other, okay? So hi everybody. I see a lot of people saying hello. I hope everybody is doing well. Not a bad day here today at the homestead. It was in the 60s, so kind of windy, but not bad at all, okay? So anyway, let's get into talking about children, okay? And I don't think a lot of people think about not even just their own children, because everybody thinks about their own kids. So as parents, as grandparents and stuff like that, we want to think about protecting and keeping our own children safe. But what I really want to talk about tonight is not just our own children and our grandchildren and stuff like that. I want to talk about other children of parents that were not preppers, other parents that did not prepare, were not ready, did not see what was coming. And unfortunately, a lot of those people are going to die. It is unfortunate. You have a couple of different sets of people out there in the world. Okay, you have these people that don't believe in guns, that don't believe in learning how to do self-defense and stuff like that. So they're going to be early victims in a true S.H.T.F situation. Okay, and then you have your Rambo mentality types that play Call of Duty and think that they're tough guys and think that that's how it's going to be. And they will also fall, in my opinion, to being early victims in an S.H.T.F event. So what happens then? They're gone. What happens to their children? These children still need to be taken care of. They need guidance. They need somebody to give a crap about them. So basically, I'm going to call out to all you guys out here, all my fellow preppers, all my fellow off-gridders, that hey, TRW, thank you very much. Thank you for talking about this topic. It's been on my mind for a few months now. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. What we need to do, guys, as preppers and off-gridders, is we need to think about all these orphan children that are going to be out there after S.H.T.F event. Now, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult for everybody. But a lot of these kids, you got to understand, I look at it from a couple different perspectives. Children are the future. No matter what happens, at some point, whatever conflict or whatever is happening, at some point it will be over, okay? Then we have to rebuild. And at that point, children... Oh, I got my green tea tonight, JJ, just so you know. Wanted to let you see I got that tonight. So I actually had it in the fridge for 2 days waiting for tonight. So children are going to be the future after the dust settles, okay? So what we need to think about is a lot of these orphan children are not going to have anybody to care about them or give a crap about them. So my challenge is not even just for myself, but for all of you guys as well, to really think about taking these kids in if you can. And you know, it might not be the teenagers, guys. It might, because the teenagers might have a whole different idea of what they want to do and what, you know, that type of situation. But I'm talking your, 10-year-old and under type of children. Those are going to be people that need that support, need guidance, need somebody to show them the way, show them the skills that they're going to need to survive. And I'm going to tell you what, if you do those type of things, two things are going to happen, okay? You're going to have people that are going to realize, these kids are going to realize that if it wasn't for you, they'd be dead, number one. And number two, they will be very, very loyal, and they will have your back and they will support you, because let's be honest, all of us are going to get older. All of us are going to need somebody to take care of us down the road. So, it's a win-win situation. When do you know it's a trap or the real thing? That, that is a good question. Again, you're going to really have to take that on an individual basis. I'm going to tell you what, I personally, and I've talked about this before, I go with my gut feeling. If I think something is hanky or something is not right, I'm going to really look at that situation a lot stronger, okay? But again, it's little kids, and when I'm talking little kids, I'm talking kids under 10. A lot of them don't have an ulterior motive. They really don't. So your teenagers might be the ones that would have that ulterior motive. So those were the ones that you're going to need to be a lot more cautious about. But your younger kids are really not going to have a huge ulterior motive. They're not looking to get over on you or kill you in your sleep or those type of things. If you are offering them safety, food, protection, those type of things, and embracing them into your family and making them part of your family and your group, they're going to be grateful for that, and they're not going to forget that. So, and also not even just for those reasons, but just because, it is the right thing to do. War, pestilence, famine, disease, that's not those children's fault because their parents made poor decisions. It is not, you will have a new set of rules during the intake. Yeah, absolutely. It would definitely be different with that type of thing. But, it's not their fault that their parents made bad choices. So, to punish the children after that, teenagers surviving on their own will be dangerous as anyone, otherwise they would be dead. You're right, Kevin. I agree with that 100%. Teenagers are a whole different ballgame. Again, under the right circumstances, they can be brought into a group as well. But again, that's gonna be building that trust, improving their worth. Okay, for a teenager, I'm saying. But when you're talking about a 5-year-old, a 5-year-old does not have an ulterior motive. They maybe lost their parents. They're scared. They're desperate. They're hungry. So I really believe it's our responsibility as people that are prepared, that have been getting ready, that we need to be ready for that as well. Would you take a child if he or she is sick, knowing your family can get sick? That would really depend on the situation. Again, that's what isolation is all about. If you have, a quarantine area where you put that child in a quarantine, and again, if there was some kind of major sickness that was going around killing everybody, then obviously you could not. If there was some major thing that was going around like Ebola, let's use Ebola as an example. If Ebola was going around and this kid came up and they were sick and asked for help, you got to really make that decision at that point, knowing that it probably is going to get infected with everybody in your group. That you cannot allow, unfortunately. But a kid could be a setup. That's a really good statement. Let's say, Vincent, I would take the kids, teach them the way the government won't help them, where they're all on, while we're all on our own. You're right, and Vincent, that's a great thing, as well. So and thank you for the donation as well. Getting back to the topic of a setup, a child could be a setup, but again, I don't think a lot of times that, again, a little older child, yes, could be used as a setup, trying to, worm their way in and whatnot like that. But you can kind of read kids are really open, so you can read them a lot better. And again, you would want to have a quarantine period for that child and keep them separate and not let them sleep with everybody else, and maybe lock them up at night if you had to for a while to build up that trust. Robert Blakemore just said kids with hand grenades in Vietnam War. Absolutely. Those things did happen. You're absolutely right. They did happen. But again, and this would be, I see this more as a refugee type of situation where you're going to have a lot of desperate kids that are looking, again, for help. looking for guidance, looking for somebody to take care of them. So, because of the chaos, we have a generation of kids right now that have absolutely no clue of what the real world can be like, number one. Number two, they've never lived without electronics. So, that the whole thing is going to be a huge culture shock to them. Kids are impressionable in wartime situation. They were used to do a ton of dirty work. You're right, JJ. Absolutely, they were. Again, but I'm talking more. The situation I'm talking with, and I'm not talking a year from after the event. Those kids are going to be survivors. I'm talking right after an event, within inside of a month or 2 months, you're going to have a lot of kids. Robert Blakemore just said you would have to examine the kids before and let them in health-wise as well. Right, you're going to have to make sure they're healthy, make sure they don't have an ulterior motive, sit them down, talk to them, really feel them kids out, if you will, and try to, figure out what's going on, how they got in that situation. Really, really talk to them. If you want to call it an interrogation, it's an interrogation. But you're trying to make sure, if the parents are dead and the 5-year-old ain't old enough, it's not going to last long. You're right. They're not. They're absolutely not going to last long if their parents are gone. So, again, it's an opportunity to do the right thing, to help these kids out if you can. Now, again, is every situation going to be clear cut? Of course not. You're going to have to basically, guys, take it on a case-by-case decision. And here's the thing. Well, this is what I want you to think. Let's say you have a group, okay? And I would absolutely recommend in any group that you have that your people that are making the decisions be either 3 or 5, because you have tiebreakers that way. You'll never have it 2 and 2 or, to that effect. So you want to have either 3 people or 5 people are the main ones making decisions, okay? And so you're going to basically have these 5 people are going to read this kid and take a different take on this kid, and then they're going to have to make that decision. They're going to have to sit down and decide between the 3 or the 5 of them, do we take this kid in or not? Now, again, when you take that kid in the beginning, you just don't take him in and bring him in the house and go, okay, now you got to run the place. That's not how it should be. You got to be cautious, obviously, because you don't know what the background is. You don't know the situation and those type of things. So you're going to really need to be cautious. Of course, you're going to use, that. But also go with your gut, guys. If your gut feeling is telling you that there's something hanky about it, you may say, okay, we're going to take you in. But you're going to really watch that kid, isolate that kid, not let him get too close to that inner circle and see what's going on. So Law and Order Prepper just said, unfortunately, children will be more dangerous than adults in S.H.T.F. You know what? They could be. And somebody just said kid packs. You're right. Those things are going to happen as well. There's going to be situations like that. There really, really, truly is. So you really have to look at the whole situation. You have to look at, like I said, again, it's a case-by-case situation. Everything is not going to be just black and white. There's going to be a lot of gray areas in there. So you're going to have to make decisions of who to help and who not to help. It's just realistically, it's almost the same exact thing with adults. You're not going to help every adult that comes through the door, okay, looking for that handout. So, Lord of the Flies situation. Well, if it's just strictly kids, you could have that type of situation, absolutely. So, and Kevin H. said a bullet will work on kids too if need be. Right. If they are a danger, you're going to have to do what you have to do. I mean, that's that's the reality of it. 2 parents is one and one is none. So much for single parent households. Austin said, yeah, well, that's unfortunate, but that's a true statement as well. Guys, if you haven't yet, could you throw me a thumbs up? I would appreciate it. So just we'll see where we get tonight with a thumbs up. It would just, but anyway, again, you're children of the corn. Let's not go with all the fantasy stuff, okay, guys. Let's realistically look at it realistically. A lot of kids are going to be frightened. They're going to be scared. They're not going to know who to turn to. They're not going to know who to trust. And so in the beginning, you're going to have a lot of mistrust. And you're going to have a lot of kids that are on edge. You're going to have a lot of adults that are on edge. You're going to need to make a decision if you're going to help or you're not going to help. And that's what it comes down to. Teenagers' mentality is so different these days that I worry about their mentality to survive. You know what, K. Anna B., kids are resilient. Kids can bounce back from anything. Realistically, in an S.H.T.F event, adults are going to be worse at handling it than kids will. Kids will adjust. They always do. They adjust to the situation. I'm going to give a great example. Like when we moved out here, I moved out two 13-year-olds to an off-grid situation, okay? They were, it was totally different than what they were used to, but they adjusted realistically better than I did. I kind of knew what I was walking into getting out here, but it was still a culture shock. Don't get me wrong. And, and the kids, they rolled with it and they adjusted so much better. And that's what kids do. So, they're very resilient. They really, really are. And so don't underestimate kids. They will be really, really strong in that type of situation. Lots of responsibilities as an adult in regards to kids. You're right, Scott. You're absolutely right. And I think kids will eventually find that the outside world is not so bad compared to the virtual one. Uncle Sam, great point. And that's exactly it too. They're going to realize this whole other world is out there once there's no more electronics and all that is gone. And there is a whole lot of things to discover. I mean, I know like as a kid, we would get up in the morning. We couldn't wait to get out the door, to get out into the woods and play and do the things that we wanted to do and discover and just enjoy. We'd come back for lunch and, your parents didn't see you. They weren't out there looking for you. It was a whole different thing where now, we got to worry about, everything, every aspect of what's going on. You have to worry about online. Your kids are online. Who are they talking to? Who's contacting them? What's their motive? What's their, what are they looking to do? So those things are, there's a lot more things to be scared about now. After an S.H.T.F, there will be still things to consider. Okay. What age do you consider a child after S.H.T.F? I would say 10 and under, to be honest with you. Kids older than that are really thinking a lot more. You may find some of those kids that are 11, 12, 13 that really want that help and they're willing to do what's necessary to prove themselves. So you may find that. Once you get to the older kids, 14, 15, 16, I think they're going to want to be buck wild, to be honest with you. They are going to want to do what they want to do. They're not going to want to have anybody telling them what to do. So those are the ones that are going to be, in my opinion, those are the ones that are going to be the most dangerous. But your younger children, they, and again, when I say it's a case by case basis, okay, you're really going to have to look at that situation, make a decision. Who am I going to help and who am I not? You might have 3 kids that come in, okay, at the same time, and you may say, I'm going to help these 2, but not that kid. Something's not right with that kid. I got a gut feeling, and turn that kid away. I mean, that may go down like that, okay? And that's a horrible thing to have to think about, because if you know you're turning that kid away, he might not make it, okay? But unfortunately, if you get a bad feeling or a bad vibe, if you will, you better listen to it, especially in an S.H.T.F situation, because that kid may come in there and kill you in your sleep. So those are the things you really, again, they're going to not, you don't want to bring them into the group right away. They're going to have to prove themselves. They're going to have to earn that position, and get out there and help and do the things that they need to do. What happened to kids during the Civil War? You know what? That's a great question, and I do not know the answer to that, to be honest with you. I know that some of the little drummers and stuff like that, they were like as young as like 10 years old that were with the soldiers and being a drummer. So, I don't know what happened to the kids. Kevin H. said the soldiers ate them. You know what? I'm sure cannibalism happened. I don't know if they would just go and eat kids on, in general, but, you have to look at girls versus boys. Will you find it easier to trust girls? No, Actually, boys or girls, both, any of them could stick a knife in you if they feel threatened, if if they feel like you may try to hurt them. You could get a knife from a boy just as quick as you can from a girl. Actually, girls are probably more dangerous. They're more cunning. Girls are smart. You got to understand too. Girls mature faster than boys too. So let's not forget that. So so you really have to look at, like I said, you're going to have to take it on a situation by situation event. If you want to help that child or not, and depending on the situation, and you gotta sit them down, you got to talk to them, you got to try to get as much information as you can. And I have a 7-year-old Down's little girl, and I'm concerned about what would happen to her. Well, and I understand that you would absolutely should, you absolutely should be worried, And again, hopefully you have a plan for your child, because that's not an easy thing to think about right there. Girls are a lot more cunning. Well, like I said, girls mature faster than boys, so they're smarter than boys, especially when they're younger. So, those are things you want to Google children in the Civil War. Just pulled up numbers and articles. Paula Gardner just said. Yeah, and Francesca just said kids could be a decoy. You're absolutely right. They could be. So, again, you have to, believe me, when I say go with your gut, definitely go with your gut. If your gut tells you that you should not help this kid, then you turn him away. And that may sound heartless, but that you're going to have to go with your gut feeling on that one. Again, it's going to be a case by case situation. Some kids are going to be there for the setup, but if you sit them down and you feel them out and you talk about them and you say, what's your situation? What happened? And you know what? A lot of times when you're looking at that child and you can tell if it's fake or if it's real, you have to go with that. And if you think that they're putting on the crocodile tears, you better be careful in that situation. So, like I said, just be smart about it. That's all. What do we got here? Taking anyone is a risk. You're right, absolutely. Taking anyone in is going to be a risk. But again, in an S.H.T.F situation, guys, I'm telling you, you're going to have people in your group that you never believed or thought would be in your group, just because it's going to be a better situation for survival. So, I want you guys to think about that. That is definitely going to be a situation that, you're going to, like I said, you're going to have people that you never expected, but there's going to be a lot of kids out there that are going to need our help. And I just want you to really think about that. And again, go with your gut feeling. If you feel like there's some kind of problem, then don't take them in. And again, that's a hard call. And I wouldn't want to put that in any one person's hand. That's why I believe, like I said, you have your committee, if you will, of 3 or 5 people that are making the decisions for the whole group, and you vote on it. And if the vote is to turn that kid away, then you turn that kid away. If you can sense, a lot of times you can sense with kids if something's not right. You get that feeling. And I mean, I've had it a lot of times. I've read people my whole life. And so if I feel like that there's something that is not right with somebody, I'll back right off. You know what I mean? And that's what I do. So don't let little kids compromise what you have prepared. That's a good point, Andy. You're right about that. Again, if you have to keep them separate for a while, even like I said, even if you have to lock them up in a separate building at night, have them do chores and have them help and stuff like that. But until they've earned that trust, and that's with anybody else, Some kids are just broken. We have all seen it. You're right, Kevin H. Some kids are just broken, and you don't want that kid that could be a danger to you or anybody else in your group. So you really need to think about that. So many kids on mind-altering meds today, they will be so messed up. A great point, Paula. Absolutely. There's so many kids that are on like ridiculous amounts of medication from the time they're very, very young. And that's crazy as well. Every war has a history of children having to fight along the soldiers. Yeah, there's been children that fight along. Oh, thank you, Stace Stevenson. He says, Happy Father's Day. Thank you very much. Yeah, I know it's Sunday. I can't believe it's going to be Father's Day already. Somebody said, sounds like most of us aren't taking kids in. Again, you got to do what you got to do. There's no judgment on my part, guys. I am not judging anybody. I'm just, what I'm trying to do is basically say, I want you to be open to the thought, if it's possible that you can, in the right situation, of taking kids in. Because again, kids are the future. So if you can do that, and again, practice listening to your own instincts now so you don't have to question them when it could save your life. Great comment, Fair Island. Yeah, that's a great comment. Listen to your gut. Feel that out. I mean, have you ever been, I'm sure most of us have been someplace and that hair rises up on the back of your neck and you just feel uncomfortable, like, let me get out of here. Something is not right here. I think we've all been in that situation. And I think most of us in that situation left. It's the same type of thing, guys. You really got to listen to your own self. Listen to your gut. Your gut is going to tell you. And again, like I said, we can't help everybody. That's a fact. If you help everybody, you're compromising yourself and your group and your own family. So we can't do that. But it's like with kids that, sixth sense, gut is never wrong, and it never is. I always listen to my gut. I'm going to tell you what, for me, I have a tendency to overanalyze everything. And then a lot of times I doubt myself, but I will process everything. I go through it in my mind, and then I kind of just, I feel that out, and I try to figure out from that type of situation. That's how I try to go about things. So, yep, saved his life as an armored car carrier, Brett said. And you know what? Exactly. And that's good. Thank you for sharing that, Brett. Again, you have to listen to that. Your body's going to tell you. And like, if you get any inclination that something ain't right or something is wrong with that situation with that kid, man, you pack them out and send them on their way. But again, if that possibility is there and you don't get any bad vibes and stuff like that, and again, if you have to, you isolate them for a while and you tell them, say, listen, you're going to have to be locked up in this building at night for a while. You're going to have to earn our trust. And you explain to that child, you're not bad. You're not being punished. It's a safety issue. And so, again, just like with anybody else, anybody new coming into your group, you're not going to give them the keys to the kingdom right away. You're not going to do it. You're not going to say, oh yeah, here's a rifle. Go guard that fence. They may turn that rifle on you. So again, those are things that you're going to have to feel people out. You're going to have to see how they do, see if they're legitimate, and see if they're full of crap. And you're going to be able to tell, guys, believe me, people will show their true colors. They're not going to, people can only put that mask on for so long before it gets pulled down. So, you really have to take each one of those situations, again, individually. But if you can add those kids to your group down the road, that could be the difference if you make it or not. It really can be. They need to be vetted, Scott just said. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. They definitely do. You definitely have to, put them through that process. Put them in, here's another thing. Think about this, okay? So you got this kid new to your group. You're testing them out. So you put them to a test. You put them in a situation where they could steal or not steal, and you see what they do. You put them in a situation where they could do something, bad or not, and you watch that situation and you see what they do. The mask itself has flaws, and you can see through. I can smell a liar a mile away. Kevin H. just said that. That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. And again, everybody has that instinct. Everybody has that sixth sense and that gut feeling. So you're going to be able to see. And don't get me wrong, some people are really good at that. They put that mask up, So again, you really have to watch out for those type of situations. Oh, there's a thought too. Somebody just said worried about kids after S.H.T.F because of pedophiles. Yeah, they'll be out there too. And I'll tell you what. And this is just from me. After S.H.T.F. happens, and I caught anybody doing that type of pedophilia to children, rapists, I'll put them down myself, without a doubt, without a hesitation. That's just the way I feel, because that's not going to be allowed. And if somebody was doing that in my group, I would instantly. There's no second chance, no begging for mercy. They're going to get done right there and right on the spot, because that is not going to be allowed. Absolutely not. That's not what it's about in an S.H.T.F situation. If you're in a position of power, if you will, to do that type of stuff, not going to happen. Not going to be allowed. I don't want those type of people in my group, and I'm not going to have it. So, and I would be very upfront right from the very beginning. If you're going to be part of this group, and if you think you're going to go out and rape somebody, you better move on down the road, because you're not going to be part of this group and do that type of stuff. So, but yeah, Wolfgang just said, never try to be the lone wolf. It won't work. You're right. Absolutely won't. Yeah, rapists will not survive. Yep, exactly. He said, I'll make sure of that. Exactly. If somebody's doing that type of stuff, guys, and you catch them, put them down. That's exactly, I don't care if it's 4 of them in a room, you put them down. Because those type of people, they have no respect for anything. And so, should the group hold a trial before putting someone down? Austin, if you catch somebody in the act, if I walked into a room, okay, I'm just going to give an example, and it would happen today, okay, before S.H.T.F happened. If I walked into a room and I saw somebody raping a child, I'm going to kill them myself. There's not going to be any trial. There's not going to be anything. I will put them down myself right then on the spot. That's what I would do with rule of law today. So after an S.H.T.F event happens, it would be absolutely no different. So, that would definitely be something. But, that's the way it would be done. Be careful there, James Yeager. I'm just being honest. That is the one thing that I cannot stand more than anything else. And I'm not talking about the 18-year-old kid that's banging a 16-year-old girlfriend. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people that go after children, like, under 12 and under, and they, manipulate them and they get them and then they're having sex with them. Now, those people need to go. We are too soft as a society today to let these people be around in our society. So, that's just my opinion on that. You can have your own opinion, but it's just the way I am. I shoot from the hip, guys. I say it just like it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. But again, so, that's just me. So, let's see, what do we got here? Humans are the only animal that tolerates from their, yeah, right, exactly, tolerating that from their young. Exactly. Unfortunately, slavery and trafficking will be rampant. Yeah, you're right. Those things will happen. There's going to be slavery. There's going to be trafficking of women, children. People have that flavor for different things. But again, if you can root that out and take care of that, so you do what you have to do. So cannibals will never be trusted in any normal group. You know what? I can't disagree with you on that, Robert. I mean, unfortunately, I think you're going to see cannibalism, especially if it's a major thing that's going on around the world and the food is not there. I think cannibalism would be rampant. People can say what they would and would not do in any type of situation, but until they're faced with that situation and it's life or death, they can't say what they would do. They really can't. So, I would rather not eat somebody. I'll be honest with you. So, that's just my take on it. I would rather not. But if it was that or die, I think that I would have to. It wouldn't be something that I'd be like, hey, let's just go out and start killing people to eat people. That's not what I would want to do. Tell it like it is. At no time for BS and prancing around the subject. Well, you have to be honest. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to look at yourself and say, what am I going to tolerate and what am I not going to tolerate? And so you need to, make that line in the sand for yourself now. And if you have to, eat the meatiest parts first, the buttocks. Yeah, I've heard that too. You look at those, the Ugandan soccer team that got stranded up in the Andes Mountains. Unfortunately, they had to resort to cannibalism to stay alive, eating the people that had already passed. They did what they had to do. They survived it. Now, were they affected by that the rest of their lives? I'm sure that they were. They probably wanted to forget about it. When stuff goes down, the true self will come out. Wolfgang, you're absolutely right. Think about this, guys. There's a lot of people out there that have sick, dark fantasies of things that they want to do, but they don't act on them because of rule of law. Okay? Once there's no more rule of law, the true self is going to come out, because if there's no consequences for your actions unless somebody's catching you doing something, a lot of people are going to do a lot of nefarious things. That's just a reality. Okay? I believe you have to have some kind of a code. Hey, Lockridge Farms, pedophiles should be tortured, no quick kills here. Well, I can't disagree with that either. It depends on the spur of the moment, to be honest with you. If I caught somebody doing that in the act, I don't think I could take my time with that. I would just have to dispatch them. That's just my opinion on it. Thank you for that donation. But I think once S.H.T.F happens, guys, we all need to make sure we have some kind of code that we're living by. Code of ethics, code of standards. If you want to go by the 10 Commandments or whatever, again, you need to really sit down. What is acceptable? What is not acceptable in your heart? And then you have to go from there. And you have to make those decisions based on that, unfortunately. So when there is no law, it's up to the sheepdogs to protect. You're right. Exactly. And, it's like the people that are in my group, they know we're going to be together. We're going to be watching out for each other. A lot of them, obviously I've met. They're part of my group because I trust them. And, my gut's telling me that I can trust them. So, but again, people will come into your group that you never expected that were going to come into your group. And, some of them are going to show their true colors over time. And if they do something bad, then you're going to have to deal with that, unfortunately, So, but call Governor Cuomo. Yeah, I don't think so. So, but anyway, it's just, kids are innocent for the most part. And I think that, like I said, if I can help kids out, I'm going to try to do the best I can. If there's a 3-year-old running down the street by themselves and there's nobody around, they don't have an ulterior motive, guys. Maybe their parents have been killed and they're trying to survive. Those ones, I don't think you got to vet, a 3-year-old. You would scoop them up, bring them in, take care of them, let them know they were safe, let them know that you weren't going to hurt them. And you would go from there. So, again, it's like I said, it's all on each individual basis, and you just have to, try to do the best you can. That's, I would rather eat plants. Oh, I agree with you, but like I said, that's all about planning ahead, making sure that you have enough food storage to get you through that winter. More than enough, you hope. Okay, you don't want to going into winter, especially up here in the Northeast. You don't want to go into winter short on food. So that should definitely be something that's going to be a huge priority. Gathering food, gathering supplies, making sure that you have enough. I see the porn bots are out again. Isn't that awesome? Thank you, moderators, for taking care of that. You guys are doing a great job. I appreciate that. Unbelievable. That's just like the last 3 shows. That's when the porn stuff has been coming up there. So I don't know what that's all about, but crazy. Let's see. Well, thank God we got the moderators taking care of things. Yeah, too many porn bots. Well, you know what it is, and that's another game that's being played out there, guys. If anybody hasn't done it yet, if you just came in or whatever, please give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate that. Thank you very much. It helps the numbers out, and it makes it look good for YouTube, so might as well do it if you would. I appreciate that, though. What becomes of a kid as a psychopath as they're growing up? Well, you're going to have to deal with that. Those are situations that you're going to have to make decisions of, at that point. If you know that that kid is a loose cannon, a wild card, those are things that are going to be very worrying. 4 chest high potatoes, enough for calories to survive. Thank you, and thank you for that donation. Yeah, potatoes are a great source of being able to survive. Plant as much potatoes as you can. Have potatoes on hand. Um, I'm actually planning on putting in here, and even though it's later, it's already in June. I'm going to do some potato bins, if you will, and grow some potatoes. I definitely plan on doing that. So I got some great soil over on that side of the property that I'm going to be digging up, and I want to use that soil because it's absolutely awesome. Can I plant potatoes in 5-gallon buckets? You can, but you're not going to get as many potatoes. The better way to do it, if you're going to do it like get a tote, get one of those big totes, and plant your potatoes in that. That would be a great way of doing it. So again, it's like, but if you can get out there and you can plant a bunch of potatoes and do it like that, that's the best way to do it. But just having potatoes on hand and using them, and you can get a lot of potatoes. I was talking to actually Icky Can the other day, and I think he told me he got like 500 pounds of potatoes last year. So, that is an amazing amount of potatoes. So again, it's they can really save your lives, but you got to have the eyes on them, right? For sawdust. Oh, Stace just said that. Okay. Potatoes need at least 8 to 10 hours of sunlight. Yeah, if you get them out there in those sunny spots, put them outside. Even if you put it in a tote, make sure if you have to take that tote in every night, bring that tote in, but then get it out there in the sunshine during the day. Then that's a good way of doing it too. If you're in that type of situation where you had to, if you can leave them outside, that's even better. But again, it just all really depends. I'm not worried about psychopathic kids. I mean, what are the odds of 2 psychopaths randomly meeting? That's funny, Holden. So very funny. Yeah, but like I said, again, if you get kids and they got a lot of psychological issues, and that you definitely feel like they're a danger, you got to get them gone. Any way that you need to, and so. But again, you're going to realize that there's going to be a lot of kids that have dealt with a lot of trauma, and maybe people have hurt them. Somebody had mentioned, like I said, with the pedophiles and stuff like that. Maybe somebody hurt them, and so they're not too trusting, and you just have to, like I said, all those things you're going to have to take again on an individual basis. A lot of the teenagers that are lost and alone will be looting and pillaging. You're right, they absolutely will be. But again, I think in the right circumstances, if you can bring them in to help them, maybe you end up getting somebody that's going to really be a loyal person to your group and be an asset to you. It again, in all cases, no. But in some cases, I think yes. And, you take that chance. And again, like with teenagers, again, if you have to lock them up at night for a while until they've earned that trust, then you do that, But again, you have to really, it's what you're comfortable with for your group. If you have the extra supplies to be able to help, don't shortchange yourself, guys. Don't short your group because of compassion. It's unfortunate that you have to think that way. You have to think of your group, your family first, because you don't want to have somebody die of starvation because you helped the wrong people. That's not, you have to, the first and foremost has to be your group. So they will be bored not knowing what to do with themselves to plan for tomorrow. You know what? A lot of the kids will be, but if you can give them a direction, a purpose. Here's something that I want you guys to think about, because I think back to this a lot when I was a kid, okay? And I was a wild child, guys. Anybody that watched the show where I had my mom here, she told the truth. I was a wild child, okay? Nobody could tell me what to do. I did whatever I wanted. I mean, I went through a period where I was just off the charts, okay? But looking back as an adult now to that time period in my life, what I wanted more than anything else, I wanted structure. I wanted somebody to give me boundaries, because boundaries keep us safe. It makes us feel safe. It makes us feel protected. And I wanted somebody to basically, lock me down and say, this is it. These are your limitations. But nobody did at that point, okay? But looking back, that's what I want. That's what kids want. Kids want to feel safe. They want to feel protected. They love boundaries. Trust me when I say this. At the time, they may not. They may say, I can't stand it. But, so yeah, Jenna just said, I watched your Wild Child video with Mom. Yeah, but, it's just, if kids have structure, it makes them much more at peace. I got a lot of people when my kids were younger, and I got this, wait till your daughter becomes a teenager. She's going to lose it, and she never did. She never did, okay? Same with Eddie, okay? Because they've had structure from day one. I'm going to give you a great example of something, okay? When the kids were little, and I'm talking 4, 5 years old, okay? Their bedtime was 7 o'clock. So we had company over. Okay, here's an example. We had company over, and I kind of wasn't paying attention to the time. So 7 o'clock came. You know what my kids did? And I'm talking Josh, Heather, and Eddie. They shut down what they were doing. They packed up their stuff. They went to go brush their teeth, and people were like, what are they doing? And I looked, and I said, well, it's 7 o'clock. They know it's bedtime. They're getting ready for bed. And they were like, oh, my God, how did you do that? Structure, consistency. That's what kids like. That's what kids need, okay? And so they just did it. And so, I can't get my kid to go to bed. Yeah, I could get your kid to go to bed within 2 weeks, and they'll go to bed at a regular time. Guaranteed. Because I'm not going to let a child tell me what they're going to do. So, again, be the adult. With kids, guys, honestly, you can't be their friend. You can be their friend when they become an adult. When they're married and they're gone and they have their own children, then you can be their friend, okay? But when they are a child and they're a teenager, you cannot be their friend. You have to be their parents. You have to set boundaries. You have to set limitations. And here's the most important thing, guys, the most important thing: follow through. If you make a threat to your child and you say, if you do this, these are the consequences for your actions, okay, and you follow through, then they know that they can't walk all over you. And that's the best way to do it. And I'm going to tell you what, the best punishment in the world, especially for modern day children, is you take away your electronic privileges. You take away that cell phone. You take away the computer time. You take away, television watching time. Those are things that are more torturous than any whooping you can give your kid ever. So, again, those are things, like I said, but as a parent, you have to follow through on your threats. I thought my dad was stupid when I was a kid, so he got much smarter as I got older. Right, Lockridge Farms says, I'm teaching my kids' family to come first no matter what. Yeah, exactly. The kids always come first. Your children, when you become, and thank you for that donation too, by the way, when you have children, guys, and this is how I was. I'll tell you what, before I had kids, man, I did whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, because it was about me. I had no responsibilities, so I did whatever I wanted. Now, you got to understand, too, I didn't have my children until I was 36 years old, okay? So I waited till I was older to have my kids. But when you have children, it's all about you stops, because now it's all about them. Your children need to be the number one priority. And unfortunately, in this day and age, that is not the way it comes down today. A lot of parents, it's still about them first. And that's sad. I hate to see that. I'll be honest with you. I've seen so many good kids out there that didn't have guidance, that didn't have somebody that gave a crap about them. And, very, very sad. Very, very sad. But like I said, when you have children, those children need to come first. They need to be your priority. They're your sacrifice. Because guess what? They did not ask to come into this world. You either wanted them or you made a mistake and they happened, okay? In my case, my kids, I wanted them. We decided to have children, and we ended up having the twins together, you know? So, and to me, it was just, it was the greatest day. I mean, I think back to the day that they were born, and I get a little choked up. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that, but it's like I think back to that day when my children were born, and Amy had to have a C-section. I was right there. I got to cut the cords, and man, I'll tell you what, it was just the first, like Heather was born first, and I looked into those little blue eyes, and I was done, guys. I was done, and then out came Eddie, and Eddie's me. I mean, he's got all my dark features. You look at pictures when I was his age, he looks just like me. So it's like when they were born, that's it. That was it. My heart was just never the same, because it became all about them. And that's why, like I said, after that S.H.T.F event, I want you to put yourself in a situation. If you were that parent and something happened to you, would you want somebody to take care of your child and take care of them right and treat them well? So that's what I want you to really take away from this whole discussion tonight is, put yourself in that situation. And, how would you want that child treated? And if you can save that child, again, I think a lot of us, that's what our purpose is going to be, to try to help as many as we possibly can. And, like I said, those children are innocent. I mean, when I'm talking especially the young ones that don't have an ulterior motive, that are not looking to do something bad to you right away. And you're going to have children that are going to need that guidance, and they're going to need that help, and they're going to need people to care. So, I mean, if you can help, do it. If you don't want to, again, you're not going to get any judgment from me. I get it. I understand. You have to do what's best for you and your group. But maybe that child's going to be the one that's going to make a difference down the road. And so that's all I wanted to say, about that. My boys are full-grown adults, so they'll be okay, but otherwise I would hope so. Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure your boys probably have children of their own now. So it doesn't just stop, when you have your own children, when your children have children, and then you become a grandparent, that protective thing is still there, so that's important to remember too. So, but yeah, it's, I don't know. Like I said, man, one of my really good friends, Steve, he's known me for a long time. He knew me way before I ever had kids, and he's known me since I had kids. And he said, man, he goes, I'll tell you what, since you had your kids, you've changed so much. And so I said, in what way? He goes, you're a better person. But that's what they should do for you. Your children should make you a better person. And, it just, I don't know, it's just something about it. For me, it just, I'm just telling you how I feel. But for me, it was just, that was the end of that was it for me. I was done. And they have been my number one priority. Somebody asked me once, I told them, I have 3 priorities in life. And that's when my children were much smaller. I said, my number 1 priority is my kids. My number 2 priority is my kids. And my number 3 priority is my kids. I said, do you understand what my priorities are? And that's how I've always felt. And so, and that's what I've tried to do. I try to be the best dad that I can be. And I am not perfect, guys. I don't begin to say that I'm perfect. I've made a ton of mistakes in my life. But, I think when it comes to my children, I think I've done a great job. And I think that they are great kids. And I think they're going to do good in life. And I think they're going to be happy. And that's what I want. I just want them to be happy. I want them to be good people. I want them to be happy. And, so that's what it's all about. My house, my kids, and my grandkids bug out location. There you go. Old and Slow just said that. So somebody just said you're a cool dude, Ed. Thank you very much. Hey, I'm just me, guys. The kids will be 18 in October, so they will turn 18 in October. Yep. So yeah, time flies. I'll tell you what. I'm just like, wow. So Yeah, exactly. Teach the children while they're young, and it will make them hard workers. You give them a purpose too. Always encourage independent thought. I don't always agree with what my children think. They think differently than I do, but they're from a different generation. But respect encourage them to think for themselves. I think that that's important too. And, so, they're going to do what they're going to do. I mean, once they leave your home, they're going to follow their own path. But hopefully, you've instilled in them something that, is going to make a difference in their lives. And if they're in a situation down the road, hopefully that little voice in the back of their head comes up and, somebody just said my twins turned 21 in May. That's cool. Very, very cool. You know what? And here's the thing too. I'm going to tell you what. When my kids turn 21, that'll be a day that we're going to sit down, and I'm going to take them out, and I'm going to buy them a beer, and we're going to sit down and talk. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to when they have their children and they bring the kids out, and then I can take the grandkids and show them the chickens, and hopefully at that point the goats and everything else that we're going to have up here. Somebody just said, Mr. Rose said, most children will die after the internet is gone. I imagine a dozen will make it. I think you'd be surprised. Like I said, kids are very, very resilient. And I think, just don't do 21 beers. Somebody said, yeah, exactly. No, I would not do that. That's crazy. So, but, again, kids are very, very resilient. So I think that we just really need to look at each individual situation as that comes up and deal with it from there. And just kind of go with the flow, Do you think that my son did that with my son, but I got way too drunk? Kevin said, well, I don't plan to. I'm not much of a drinker, guys, to be honest with you. I like having a couple drinks, but I really don't really get hammered very often. Like literally twice a year, maybe. And if I get hammered, usually get a bad hangover, and it reminds me of why I don't drink like that. So, that's kind of the way that I do it. But I don't mind having a drink or two and sitting around having a couple beers. The best is when you have a good bonfire going. You have a nice bonfire going and sit around. That's the way to do it. Want to buy a baby goat? Oh, I'll tell you what. I definitely want goats. I'd like to get a couple to start out with when I do it. But do a hammered live stream with Little Prepper Lady. Oh my God, that would be funny. Yeah, both of us just completely wasted. That would be an interesting hour now, wouldn't it? So, but yes, Bob. 2 grandkids, boy and a girl, 10 and 5. That's cool. Very, very cool. Little Prepper Lady just said, oh my God, that would be horrible. Oh, come on, that would be fun. We'd probably say things we weren't supposed to say then. Oh, here's our little guy. Here, bring him on over, Eddie, so you can see. There's little Galco. There's Mr. Galco.
Okay, that's what I'm going to see.
After the show. Okay? But thank you for asking.
Close to the end anyways.
Well, once we get there, then we will definitely do that, okay?
Okay.
All right. Wouldn't be able to hear one word because we'd both be talking at the same time. Evelyn Vincent just said that. Yeah, that would probably happen. Each of my 8 children specializing in their own skill set, but all have the basics. Very cool, Chris Smith. Very, very cool. That's the way it should be. Teach them the basics. Give them that education the best that you can. And, teach them how to start a fire, how to build a shelter, how to purify water, and just kind of go from there. Yeah, Eddie had to come in with the kitty fix. Unfortunately, right now, one of our kitties, one of the neighbor's dogs, got at one of my kitties, and he's got a hurt leg right now. So he's been doing a lot of sleeping. That's Abel. And I went over and I talked to the girl next door, and she was really, really decent about it. And she said, well, if you have to take him to the vet, let me know what it costs and I can try to help out. But I think he's going to be okay. I felt the leg and it didn't feel like it was broken. He's just not walking on it real well right now. And he's basically spent the entire day today sleeping. So I think he's healing. And, we shall call him Mini Ed. Yeah, he's definitely carbon copy of me. He did inherit my temper too. What, Bub? Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah, he's gonna. But the only difference is Eddie's going to be hairier than I am. So, yeah, that's the one thing. Oh, he does that thing with his fingers. Yeah, he always does that, like that, or something like that. But he does it upside down or something. Yeah, it's just. What do you do? What is that called?
This is like the surfer game. Like, if you like look like I was like, gotcha. Like,
oh, that game. Like, yeah, I know what he's talking about. There's a game where if you make a person look. Yep, I know what you're talking about. All right, that's cool. Well, thank you. Someone mentioned a live stream with your kids. Yeah, I can do that. I absolutely. I've had the kids. I have had the kids do that before. Yeah, actually, today is not a shave day. Tomorrow will be a shave day.
Yeah, tomorrow's also going to be a shave day for me.
Got to shave your face.
Shave your face and so you might see it as like thing that like I might be bigger than you, but like for me it's a freaking curse because.
Okay, well that's okay, Bub. Let me finish up my show, okay? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, shave his head? No, Eddie don't. Eddie had the buzz cut for years. I had Eddie's buzz for years and years and years, and then he decided he wanted to grow his hair out, and so I told him, go ahead.
Who's going to stop me?
Should we teach our kids how to use a firearm? Absolutely. Safety, knowing how to use it in an acceptable manner. You make it so it's not a taboo thing, and that's definitely a way that you should do that. You should definitely teach your kids how to shoot so they know how to defend themselves. So, yeah, you definitely should teach your kids how to use a weapon. So, all right. So, anyway, guys, I guess that's already 9 o'clock. I can't believe that freaking hour went by so fast. Hopefully this talk helps, kind of gives you a different perspective of looking at things. I hope so, anyway. And, we just all have to do the best we can. We have to make the decisions that are going to be best for our individual groups and the people in our groups. So I want you to think about that, okay? And so anyway, guys, I like to end all my shows the same. We are all in this together. That's important to remember. And so please remember that we are all in this together. Also remember, hug and kiss the ones you love. Tell them every single day. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. We never know what's going to happen in life. So that's important to remember, to tell the people that we care about, every single day. Also remember, guys, STD. It's one step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. Whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you can do it. The only one that's going to stop you from getting there is yourself. Nobody else can stop you. So I want you to think about that and really focus on that. Stay positive, stay away from that negativity, and you'll be great, okay? I will talk to you all tomorrow. Have a great night. Prepper Nurse 1, out for now. Bye, guys.